Hi, today I'm going to walk you through to run and deploy the web application for my master's project. So first of all, the entire code base is on GitHub repository. You can just clone the repository by taking the URL. So just copy this URL. Now open the command prompt in your if you are using Windows operating system. In command prompt, you can just go to your particular directory and just uh, make a folder for you. Then here you can just write like make directory project. You can write git clone, and then you can just copy this URL and paste it over here. And if you just click enter after this, it will going to clone the entire code to your local machine. Once the clone is downloaded on your local machine, there are certain libraries that need to be installed in your local machine. First of all, I am using Node.js npm as a package manager to download the dependencies for this project. For that, you will need to download Node.js. If you write Node.js on Google and go to their official website, you will see the different options to download it on different operating systems. So once the Node.js is downloaded, you can just go back to your repository. After that, you just need to write npm install. But before npm install, we need to get first of all into the repository that we have just downloaded. So for that, I will write cd facility dashboard and then go to write npm install. When you write npm install, it will going to download all the required dependencies required to run this project. If you download any customized libraries, you can always download it by using npm install library name command. So as you can see, it has started downloading the dependencies. So as you can see, the dependencies is now downloaded properly. Now to run the project on your local machine, you just need to write npm start command. So through npm start command, your entire web application will run on your local machine. Now the application is running on my local machine. So if I go back to my web browser, you can see the application is running on my local machine. If I click on any particular region for an example, so yes, the URL is also reflecting perfectly. So this is how you can run the entire web application on your machine. Now the second part of this project is to deploy the web application on AWS server. To launch the instance on AWS in order to run our application online, that's why we need to create a server. For that, we need to click on the launch instance tab on the right hand side in the AWS console. If I click on launch instance, I will get the list of servers which I can purchase. Here for an example, I am using the Amazon Linux 2 AMI. If I click on select, it will provide me different options to buy a instance type. So I am going to choose the T2 micro because it is a free. I will again then click on next, configure instance details. In this page, I will put everything as default. In add storage, also all things will be default. In tag, we can add that to deploy web app, maybe like, yeah, it's the value, and the name of the tag would be name. Now the second thing is security group. In security group, make sure you add SSH as well as HTTP, because we are going to launch our website on the server, so we will need HTTP as a protocol. So in the HTTP tag 8080, and in the source you need to select anywhere, so anyone can access your website. Then you can click on review and launch, and just need to click on launch. It will provide you a PAM file, which is a private access key file that you need to download. So you can click on create new pair. Pair name would be deploy web app, and click on download key pair. You can store this file on your local machine. Make sure you store it in a safe place. After downloading the PAM file, you can just click on launch instance tab. Now Amazon will going to create a server for you on which you can deploy your web application. So after launching the instance, if I go to my AWS EC2 dashboard, I can see that my application, my instance is now at running state. If you clicked on connect, you will going to see all the necessary information that you will need in order to log in to your server. This is the username, and this is the public IP where your application will be launched. First of all, as I am using the Windows operating system, I will need to convert my PAM file into .ppk format. For that, I am using a tool called PuttyChan. PuttyChan will allow me to convert my PAM file into ppk format. For that, I just need to click on load. In load, I can click on all files and deploy web app.pam, the file that I have downloaded. If I click on open, you will see the successfully imported foreign key message. Click on OK. Then if you click on save private key, click on yes. Now you can store your private key inside like any safe folder. I have already done that, so I am not going to store it in this example. Once your ppk file has been downloaded, the next task is to log in into your system. For that, I am using a tool called Putty, which will allow you to log into your AWS. In Putty, in host name, you just need to copy the public DNS and paste it. In data, you need to pass the username that we have seen. It is EC2 user in this example. If you go to SSH setting, in SSH, if you go to auth, you will need to provide your private key. Here you will going to give the .ppk file that you have created. So just import that. Once the setting is done, you can go back to session and you can click on open. Now as you can see, I am logged in into my server. Once you are logged in into your server, there are certain commands that you need to pass. The first command would be sudo su, which will switch your user to the root level. After that, you need to write yum update -y, which will going to update your yum. In my case, it is already updated. if there is some update needed in your server, it will going to download everything. Second, you will going to write yum install stpd -y. This command will going to download Apache web server on your EC2 instance. I have already downloaded, so it will not going to do anything on my server, but you will this is how you can download the web server. Once the web server is started, you can write service stpd start command. This will going to start your server, your web server specifically. If you write service httpd status command now, you will see that your web server is now running. Now you need to pass another command, which is chkconfig httpd on, which will enable all the configuration on your web servers. After the web server is running, you can go into your var www html directory. In this directory, we will need to put our build that we have created into this directory, so that whenever user comes and visit our website, it will redirect the user directly on our web page. Now, in order to create a build file, we will go back again to our command prompt. In command prompt, you can now in the command prompt, once you get into your directory, you can write npm run build command. So first of all, let me just open the application in the IDE. Here I am using Visual Studio Code IDE. To download the Visual Studio Code IDE, you can go to Google and write Visual Studio Code download. The first link that will be given to you, can just go to that link and download Visual Studio Code on your machine. So once the visual code has downloaded, you can write the code command. Through code command, it will going to open the Visual Studio Code. As you can see, my Visual Studio Code is now open. Right now we don't have any build folder inside our directory, so for that I am going to create a build file. To create a build, I will need to write npm run build command. This script will going to create a build file for me. As you can see, it is showing the message that creating an optimized production build. This is the folder that we need to put on our server. So in HTML directory of our server, we need to copy paste the entire folder of build file and paste it into our HTML directory. Once the build is completed, we just copy paste the entire build. Now, to copy the files from our local system to the AWS server, we will need another software called WinSCP. So if you go to WinSCP, if you open the WinSCP, then it will going to give you some options. In that, click on new site. Now once you open the WinSCP, you need to log in into your system. For that, in the make sure you have SFTP selected in your file protocol. In host name, you will going to give the host name of your server. So just copy that and paste that. In username, in our case it is EC2 user. Click on advanced. If you go to the authentication, you need to give your .ppk file. So I'm going to deploy web app.ppk. Click on OK and log in. Once you are logged in into your system, you will have an access to your remote server file system. Go to where directory over there, www and html directory. So this is the place where we are going to copy paste our entire build folder. So now let's go back to Visual Studio Code. As you can see, our build has been successfully deployed. It's successfully created. Now all I need to do is just copy this build and paste it on my server. For that, let's go back and the folder where my entire project I have cloned. Project demo, then project. So this is the build that I have just created. So just copy this entire folder and just paste that. Once the build has been properly copy pasted, you will need some customization on your server, because in this application we are using URL as well. In order to do that, we will need to make changes in two files. The first file would be, now the two files that we will need to download. Now the two files that we will need to download on our server is, one is httpd.conf and another is htaccess. First of all, we just copy the htaccess file and we just paste it in our HTML directory. I will going to provide you both of these files on my GitHub repo. The other file is http.conf, which is a configuration file for our web server. So if you go back to root directory, go to etc folder. In etc, you need to go to httpd. In httpd, go to conf. Just copy this http.conf file and paste that on your server. Just in case if you get any permission denied error on your server, make sure you write chmod 777 and / in the directory wherever you want to upload that file. You need to give that directory a read write access. So if you write this command, then it will going to provide you all the necessary access that you will need. Now once these two files has been uploaded successfully, you just again need to go back and restart your server. So to restart the server, write service httpd stop command and then service httpd start command. Now let me just check the status of my server. As you can see, it's again in a running mode. I just need to go back and copy the public DNS and paste that on my browser. As you can see, my entire web application is now deployed on AWS web server. If I, for the testing, if I click on any particular region, the URL is changing properly. If I copy and paste the URL, then it is going to parse the content of the URL and showing the proper output. To conclude everything what we have done so far, first of all, we have cloned the repository in our local machine through this git URL. Once the repository is cloned, we have used npm as our packet manager to download dependencies. For that, we have downloaded node.js. After the node is downloaded, we used npm install command to install the dependency. Then npm start command was used to run the application on our local machine, and after that npm run build command to run the minified javascript to deploy on our AWS server. We just deployed our minified javascript in our on our web server, and then we just restarted our server and launched it on our AWS. Thank you.